I will state that they are the heavy favorites.
That they are. I mean, you never know. Although, to be fair, I don't think we've actually seen Aurora drop random games as we used to see from the top teams. You know, even before when I guess Savage was still on, there were like random games he would drop here and there. But this time around, I don't see it. I think Palos has something to prove, of course. I mean, he's qualified, but there's still a lot of, you know, he gets memed on by the Kukuis, right? A lot of people love to meme. Like, there was this one time they had their Pustahan nights, and Akashi was playing. They were losing, and okay, there he goes. There goes Karma. But yeah, you know, they had Akashi in, and you know, one side was losing. Armel was saying, "Oh, we should have." You know, was it Armel or Gabby saying, "We should have had Palos. It should have been Palos. Why do they have to play against this guy? It should have been Palos instead." You know, the implication was that it would have been an easier game. So you know, I'm sure Palos has. It doesn't bother him, but I'm sure, you know, he'd love to just be on top, nice and smooth here for sure.
He's getting there, John. You good old Palos, you know. He takes it in stride, I think. He does take a lot of abuse from the boys, though, I've got to say. What can you do?
Does.
Kari's even going to hand the tip
tip
over.
now as well. Yeah. Good old Akari.
See if we get a fight over the bounty runes. I mean, you do see Groomify wanting that level 1 fight, and they do certainly have some very nice timings. But Aurora, not interested whatsoever. They'll just hand over the 2, take 2 themselves. In fact, they only took 1. Kari is going to be able to pick up a 3rd. So, happy days. A nice start already here for Groomify with that extra bounty rune. Bit of a fight broke out down the bottom, but it's just Palos taking a bit of damage. Nothing too extreme happening here down at the bottom lane. Palos might still take a bit here from play hard, but not quite. He's actually running directly south of that tree line, so he's alright. That mid lane is what we usually start to talk about, as we are going to have an immediate pause out between these two teams, as per always. This is what I'm saying. Are you telling me they're in a game house where the hotkeys are messed up? Like, come on now, Lucifer. I don't believe that for a second. Like, was he just playing Meepo in a pub game or something? Is that why? I doubt it. Yeah, I've been doing this job too long, John. I'm questioning everything these players say now. I don't believe a word.
The worst one's always Discord. It's like, guys, we're on Discord.
Discord's fine,
it's
boys.
Not Discord.
I think they must have listened to us, because at some point they just started saying headset or mic. They're not even saying Discord anymore. Just, you know,
yeah, they stop.
Clever, I suppose. Anyway,
yeah,
let's talk about the Dota here, John. Mid lane, you got Queen and Arbed against each other. This matchup, obviously not very good for the Pengali.
Certainly not. A lot of poke out from Abed. Of course, you can run down quite easily. Especially as, again, you hit the timing into double Wraith Band, into Brown Boots, into that Orb of Corrosion. It's not going to be the smoothest times for Pango. Free stacks coming out for Abed on his Jingu. And Ki, all he can do is really just Shield Crash and swash away, trying to poke back a little bit. But Abed should have most of the control here. You do open this up a little bit, maybe into a mid-rotation by 5 into 6 minutes around the runes. That's where things could be good with Lich and Blind. Frost Shield plus an Earth Spike Hex can make some possibilities open as Ollie.
A lot of damage being dealt to Ollie, but he's still alive as now Young God taking it back, but they do secure first blood. Palos, though, is going to be able to at least take Young God's life and now play hard, not looking too healthy either. Might go down, but he gets an Earth Spike off, and he will be able to retreat. So 1-1 first blood being drawn here for our Lion. But at the very least, Palos does get a nice trade. Top lane.
This is pretty big for Pope.
Lucify also in danger, and they do secure. Jabs, I mean, he'll get the open wounds applied, but he doesn't care. He's got reactive armor, he'll be alright.
And I do like that adjustment from Jabs as well, right? Knowing that Lifestealer solid physical, you want a little bit of durability in here, goes for the reactive value point before going for that full aggression into the 3-2 or 2-3 kind of build, does go for the value point. And that should lead into maybe just a 2-2, but you are fine with nuking down there. Killing off the Lifestealer is still relatively easy as a strength hero anyhow, and you just mitigate some of that early laning pressure that can come out here from Akari. This is the lane that feels the most important. We've seen Lifestealers fall behind in the laning phase. It doesn't feel great to recover, right? His farming pace isn't amazing. He doesn't have anything to clear out camps quickly. So you do want this solid foundation for Akari, and so far, he's not finding the roughest time. It's also not as free as you're seeing the rest of the course on Aurora. Like, in comparison to what Alos has at 21-4, 12-0 in Life Series, not exactly the tone you'd want to start off with, but it is the nature of the hero in lane. It's just not the highest pressure laner in existence in this meta.
Absolutely not. It's kind of why I just don't like the hero. It just doesn't do anything. You need so much farm to get to a point where it does. And even then, it's still questionable. Yeah, you give a Gyrocopter farm, he's actually going to hit pretty hard, John, but Lifestealer, I don't know. It's,
No.
It's questionable to me. Especially because the item builds are just always the same. It's always Radiance and Tags. And it's like, that's never enough. You need more than that.
No.
Speaking of the devil, Akari is currently being harassed at by Q. We'll get the shackles off. Whirling Death does a crap ton of damage. He's going to go for the man fight, but that's very dangerous against jabs. He will retreat, because that Whirling Death absolutely annihilates the Lifestealer.
It's not a fun time, and it's just such a straightforward combo for jabs. One piece of control up, walks up to the tree line, and Akari's just going to rip to shreds. Not much Groomify can do outside of just maybe gazing to cancel off the hold or cancel off jab's movement.
They're trying onto Q.
Again?
Q's got all his spells up. He might turn here if they're not too careful. He'll use the Hex on himself. Akari's dropping low. They don't get the kill, and Jabs thankfully doesn't have chains, so he can't chase Akari. But still, again, you really can't underestimate that Whirling Death damage. It really does start to get quite painful.
It does. And already, again, Akari's just constantly dropping low. He does have the Orb Corrosion to sustain these chases, though.
Shackles out. Another Whirling Death. Akari still trying, but does need to retreat. He just got salved up, keep in mind, so most of his region just gone as bottom lane. Supports chasing each other now, but they'll be alright. Top lane, Q. Takes a bit of damage from Lucifer, but it's not enough. Q's going to be fine. In fact, they'll try again, but the Hex is there. I know. Every time I see that crap, I roll my eyes. I really do. It's like, what a great spell.
Awful. It's not even his passive kicking in. It's just the self-hex. It's such a dumb thing.
How great
This should...
would that be, John? Imagine they buffed it and made it so it happens every time you have a spell that you can dispel on you. And it auto hexes off cooldown every time. How great would that be?
Please no. Please no. That is...
Is Valve listening? Is Valve listening right now? It's a great idea.
Please don't give them ideas. You know, the last time we were talking about Tinker being overbuffed for Yoe, his hero got crushed. So someone's listening, you know? Someone listens in at the late hours of NA. You know, especially watching Raleigh all the way back.
I heckin' love Raleigh.
I'm sure someone's interested.
Q? Excuse me, Qui is what I was meant to say. Is it Qui or Key? Like, how are we pronouncing this guy's name? I feel like it's meant to be Qui. In fact, hold that thought. Arbed's been caught. The spike does land. Palos is here, though, and Playhard, of course, is just going to drop. They'll even take the courier of Playhard.
Yeah, still on the chase as well. I believe it is Kui, and they might be able to hunt down good old Young God here.
Still in trouble.
Ooh,
nice tree break
nice tree
at the very least. Does guess the tree line that Arbed was going to jump into. And that will save his life, because Arbed definitely had enough damage had he been able to get that Boundless Strike off.
Oh, they can't contest the Wisdom Rune. Also can't even try to steal. Lucify is in the area to try to do so, but Gaze is not
good enough. And now he's just dead. Arbed says, thank you very much. It's hard with Gaze. Like, you can't really steal Wisdom Rune with Sinister Gaze.
No.
You've got to channel the damn thing.
Nah, you can't. I mean, you could be Shadow Shaman with the Hex and your own channel. That's nice, you know? Could have picked that instead.
I mean, why even hex the enemy? Just hex yourself, you know? It's just run faster. It's great. Rolling Thunder forced out from Qui in the mid lane. Arbed just pounced on him and he just Rolling Thundered and ran.
That is a lot more space than I thought he'd be willing to give. There's no threat. No one else rotating onto mid. Is just going to go for a top up. At the least, his Rolling Thunder is speedy with Thunderbolt, so he gets back to base quicker, but it's a pretty big commitment for a minute of no activity for that Pangolier. Top lane slowly being sieged out by Ollie as well. Classic Pugna gameplay in the tree line, and really not much you can expect Akari to try to do about this. This tower will just eventually get poked to death.
He's gonna pop the Rage and chase down Jabs, but now without Rage, he needs to get the hell out. This is very dangerous. Abed's here as well to make matters even worse. The Boundless Strike, of course, gonna land, and Palos will happily take his life away on the Lifestealer. Very surprised to see Akari stuck around trying to defend that. Especially after popping the Rage, I was like, uh-oh. This is concerning.
It is, and we talked about how hard it is for a Lifestealer to transition after a slower laning phase. He's at the bottom of that word for his cores, of all the cores right now. And it's going to be a long ride to that Radiance. It's going to be a longer ride into the Ags. Maybe, again, you have some Infest vehicles in your Pangolier and your Dawnbreaker. It might be an opening down bot as well, so they're starting to siege in, but it's only the support showing up so far here. Though Palos
is around, and there's a lot of heroes here from Groomify. They're trying to start on Ollie. They'll eventually find Palos, but oh, Quay, he's missed the roll. He went the wrong way, and he's missed everyone. He gets Arbed in the end, but what does it matter? Very, very messy. As Lucify is still trying to run, but Q's going to land the blood grenade. He can't quite get within range, though, for a Shackle or a Hex. Nonetheless, Aurora, they lose nothing for that attempt from Groomify, and I mean, Aurora, they almost look like they're going to set up for a tier 1 bottom tower. Though I doubt it, surely. Though I say that, Young God and Lucify are here, so maybe they want to go for the hero pickoffs instead. Abed sees them. And here we go. Young God, he'll get caught. Shield will only help so much as Lucify gonna get caught as well. Sometimes you just have to accept that the tier 1 tower's gone.
Yeah, you have to show respect for how fast or how forward Monkey King can be, how much vision it can give. You're just not safe in your tree line whatsoever.
Q?
Oh, you saw
Quay,
Abed.
sorry? I mean, Abed's just scaring the living crap out of Quay. Just every time he jumps in with Primal Spring, Quay is just out of there. He does not want any of it.
Yeah, it's fair. Now, I know why you're slipping up with Q and Quay. I believe Quay is Q's evil twin.
Is that right?
Like somewhere out there, there's someone out there named Work Hard. That's Play Hard's evil twin as well.
Shut up, John.
Sure, we'll see him.
That's horrible, John. I was taking you seriously as well. I'm like, oh, they must look alike. That's horrible.
Got him this time. Great. It's great. You know, you got to look at silver linings from the game 7-1 at 4K, Mikey.
Yeah,
you got to look at something. It's a rough one for the side of Groomify. Mind you, they have some tools available. Solar Guardians up if they can get a good roll angle out from Key. There's some play that can come out. It's just that their mid's being sieged, and quite frankly, Aurora just seems to not care about that potential. They're just very confident with how much Abed has already. Power Treads, double rate band, Orb of Corrosion, more than enough. No point in the Wukongs even, just raw right-click damage. They've left Jabs alone up top to free farm, contesting Akari quite nicely. Timbersaw set to have a really good timing into the Kaya, and then the magic damage just flows for free. And you have 6 already up in queue, so he could just look for the siege as Palos whiffs, but you know, he's getting a little bit bored, I guess.
Yeah, it's alright. It's no problem. T1 mid tower now under siege. Of course, they'll drop the Serpent Wards immediately here with Q. No problemo. It's a very kind of standard gameplay. I mean, Aurora, they're just completely dominant right now. There's no two ways about that. It's very clean, very surgical thus far from Aurora. And they're not overextending at all. Like, they dropped 1 life in the laning stage, and that's it. They've just been playing very clean since then. And in this stage as Groomify, with this style of draft, like, you already said it. There's a Lifestealer on your side of things. He's well and truly very far away from that Radiance build-up. And even with the Radiance, it's really not going to help that much. As Abed now going to kill off Young God by himself while he's farming Ancients.
Getting max value from that ward right before it expires that Abed planted himself. 8-1, 6k lead. Even if you hit this Radiance timing on Akari, like we talked about it again, right? Like, the Lifesteal just doesn't feel like it's ever enough damage. You get into the Radiance timing, you get into the Yags. It's nice. The mischance up against Monkey King and Gyrocopter is pretty good. Is it good enough? Probably not. Is the damage output of Lifestealer great enough? Certainly not so, especially as armor builds up, as it is still physical output. And I'm not sure if Young God has room to go for full damage on the Dawn. Right? It's been a slower game for him. We haven't seen a Solar Guardian up. If you were going for damage-dealing Dawnbreaker, you'd go for like a Echo Saber, Harpoon, Desolator if you were popping off. He's having to go back into the Blade Mail, Sanjin Yasha for a little bit sustain, maybe the Ags as well for more miss and heal. And there's just going to be a lack of damage. Perhaps Key with the Diffusal? Maybe into a little bit more. Say an Ag's timing could be nice in the Pango with a Blink. If he can get to that point, we'll have to see. A bit of a smoke out. A little bit of a blind smoke with no wards. But Palos is a good target.
They don't have Finger though, John. I don't think they can really try to blow him up. Although maybe they can. Palos on the high ground does go down. That's a nice kill. Young God's going to have to sacrifice himself for this one. But I think they'll find that well worth it. As Young God will indeed die to Q. Play hard, trying to get away is going to be alright. They could not get him in time. So a very nice kind of gank attempt here from Groomify, and certainly a very worthwhile trade.
That's what they need. Just getting lucky with that smoke movement out. Again, no forward wards to cover that, so had to guess a little bit. They do have that one ward by the outpost. That doesn't really give too much, except, well, maybe walking to that direction very far out. 9-2, 6k lead still holding for Aurora. Despite losing Palos, he's not going to be held back too much. He's not too far off from Ags, just lacking 2 parts at this point. Into BKB. His Gyrocopter is going bigger and bigger.
Let's force the Rage TP away from Akari. Immediate TP down bottom from Abed. Meanwhile, mid lane, they are going to find themselves a nice freebie here. I say freebie. It will be. Anyway, I thought Jabs maybe missing that chain would have cost them, but not quite. Meanwhile, Abed's here once again. And this is the thing with Monkey King. That Simian stride, it just makes it so you can't really keep track of this damn hero anymore. It's just ridiculous.
It's just a little bit too much. But I guess, you know, I was thinking back as to why Simian stride didn't get nerfed as hard as I'd expect. It's because Black Myth Wukong's a game like, you know? It ties in thematically.
Wait.
People who want to play Black Myth would play Monkey King.
Rolling Thunder and TP away. I still haven't played that game, by the way, John. I heard it was very good.
Either. I've had a lot of people tell me I should play it. I'm like, I don't know, man. You and I, you know, I know what we're into now. Balatro.
Did you finish Elden Ring? Oh,
Let's
John.
not get ahead of ourselves, Mikey.
John.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I spent like 20 hours in it. I'm not done, and I'm just confused where I am, okay?
Lucifer.
Just very confused.
Lucifer looks confused here, John. He's been hexed up. That's a bit unfortunate. He's going to get caught right on the tail end of that TP. Did you finish any of the Souls games?
No. I was playing Dark Souls 1 until Elden Ring came out, then I jumped to Elden Ring, then I believe I've played to the halfway point, I'm pretty sure. And now I just forgot where I was. I went back south into the Scarlet Rot area, and, you know, I don't know. What I do know is Roche is being taken. This is not going to take long, of course, when you have a Shadow Shaman. He can do everything. Wards being dropped, damage out from Palos, no contest coming out from the side of Groomify. And secondary life up for Palos with his Ags timing lining up. Gets a little bit devastating for Groomify. I'm trying to think of their pathways back. I mean, the Radiance for Akari is 1 part off, 1,000 gold away. That's it's a start of something, but not quite enough to really force back the side of Aurora. You've got the Ags build up for Key, along with the full Blade Mail up for Young God. It's just a matter of how do they actually start these fights. If it's down to the roll from Key, the coordination has to be there. I think the ideal circumstance for Groomify is a Rolling Thunder into a great Solar Guardian, but Aurora don't really present good opportunities for them to kind of chain their spells like that altogether. Aurora's just been... They're the ones taking initiative. They're the ones across the map. Look at these wards from Aurora. Nice and aggressive up top, hugging across the river. They don't give a damn about their side of the map at all. They're just looking to pressure in, push in with these supports. With no real commitment and drain some farm away. Whereas Groomify, they're stuck in the dark. They have one ward watching the gate at the very least for sneaky movements across and a very awkward ward on the ramp in the triangle. But they're just forced to farm across because they don't have info. If they had info, they wouldn't even be able to play off the back of it all too well, considering this draft and their tempo right now.
Mid-tier 2 tower now under siege. Of course, you've got a pos 5 Pugna, so it's nice and easy to just take down these towers slowly but surely. Palos will move in and just make it a lot faster of a process here on the Gyrocopter. And of course, 3.5 minutes on the Aegis. I mean, they've got nothing to worry about right now. if there was to be a fight, Palos has got so much damage as well on the Gyrocopter, just with the Chrysalis Axe and the Falcon Blade. It's going to be a bit too much to deal with, I think, for the side of Groomify. And so they'll slowly watch their Tier 2 tower go down. Nothing they can do to really defend this. Even their top Tier 2 under siege. Q's just dropped the Serpent Wards. And of course, there's nothing to defend that either.
No.
Make matters even worse, John Jabs has got the full Ags up now. So, if you were intending on killing Jabs, chances are you just can't.
This can't be. The barrier's going to be a little bit too big. And Jabs has the confidence to go right where Groomify is playing. Knowing that with the Ags, just not going to get blown up. I do want to point one thing out here as well, Mike.
Oh, hold on a minute, John. Akari is going to rage TP. He is okay.
Playing on edge just a little bit. I want to point this one thing out. You looked at Ollie recently, Mikey? He's been buying all the blood grenades. I love this. This is high-end Pugna gameplay. Just literally every single time blood grenade's up, he picks one up. Just more HP. Just a nice slow that plays really nicely with decrep. It's actually quite crazy. This is the first time I've seen anyone consistently buy blood grenades past 10. But on a Pugna, it makes a lot of sense, and it's been paying off well for Ollie.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only other person I've ever seen buy this many is maybe Insania. I'm pretty sure Insania was the guy who said that this new blood grenade item was like one of the most broken items he's seen. And I totally agree. I actually think no matter what stage of the game it is, they're actually quite useful. Especially for your POS 5 who's not 6-slotted anyways. Lucify, certainly not going to be 6-slotted anytime soon on the Lich, because he's dead again. And that bottom tier 2 tower, it is as good as dead.
That's all outer towers gone at 19 here. Aurora still have a minute and a half on the Aegis. I really don't see much stopping them from going high ground either, even though it's like 20 minutes in. They've got Serpent's Wards ready, they've got Nether Blast ready. They're probably just going to wait for this Tormentor first and take care of that.
Play hard, be careful, sir. Play hard, he's trying to move in.
Okay.
Okay, he throws a finger onto Ollie and nothing happens. Now Jabs wanting to go for the kill. Akari showing up. Jabs, you'll leave him alone. That's a bit sad. I mean, Ollie, I think, was even decrepified. Like, he decrept himself, and it still just did nothing. That finger?
No.
That's a bit of a shame. Onto the tier 3 tower.
He's got that casual cloak. Now he's got the full glimmer cape. And again, this siege is just so low committal. 40 seconds on Aegis, just wards down, plus Nether Blast, and can you really stop this? Hey, they have to find a way somehow, but...
I mean, well, there goes Play Hard, so he's certainly not going to be helping with the defense, as they do at least get the Aegis of our Gyrocopter, but Palos, I don't really think he needs to back off here. Abed's showing up, Quee's going to roll in with the Infested Lifestealer, trying to find himself a target, but Quee doesn't know who to target, so he's out of there. Meanwhile, Jab's just casually in the base, waiting for them to come back. And yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we were saying, right? Like, you've got an Infest target on the Pango, and the Dawnbreaker, but it doesn't really mean much when you've got no farm. As Palos will hand the tips over to Akari. And there goes your first lane of barracks. 21 minutes in, it's gone.
Palos! Just a refresh on to the class what tanga means. Tanga means dumb.
Oh.
As tanga. Yes, good pun from our friend Paluz.
Wait, Astanga means
Also,
dumb or Tanga means dumb?
Tanga means dumb. And, you know, he goes by Asta, so there you go. Just like Palos means nothing, but he goes by Paluz. So, you know, just a little bit of banter from Execration Paluz.
Thank you, John.
And this makes... It's always poetic whenever Asta Karma decides to all chat, and then he gets hit by it back because, hey, he went by Karma. So... Karma always strikes back. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy for good old Karma here.
It is. Fate loves irony, Jonathan. As I've learnt the hard way throughout my lifetime. Groomify. Akari's going to show bottom lane. I would not really recommend it. It doesn't seem like Aurora are too interested in jumping him, though, surprisingly enough. They'll just leave him be, as Jabs will just casually kill Lucify on his own. Poor old Lucify just can do nothing about it, as Akari's still pushing the top wave, but they're completely ignoring him. They're just like, guys, let's go mid. Who cares? What carrying?
Oh. Yeah, it's
Jump
again,
in,
even
jabs.
if you- Woo.
He's in already. He wants to play hard on that lion, and he might actually just have him. In fact, he will not. Akari, meanwhile, almost getting blown up by jabs. He'll go for the timber. There's your cluster, whatever the hell it's called, cluster cuck. And, well, with that, it's onto the mid lane.
What a great spell. What a
I realize I
great spell.
mispronounced it again, by the way, Jonathan. I said something inappropriate. Cluster cluck is what I was meant to say. But Valve knew what they were doing with this one. They knew by that name we were going to mess it up over and over again.
Yeah, it's just funny in all of the games we have that, Mike. It's in the Groomify game. It's quite a day of days here, Mikey. For all the things we have, we're saying words as Jabs goes in again.
Here I am trying to avoid the F word. Hold on a minute. John Akari's moved in, trying to go after Ollie, but Ollie's literally taking 0 damage as Jabs will just find a double kill here, moving in onto the lifestealer now. Akari, can he escape from Arbit? The answer is yes, he can, but he probably should leave that Wukong's command. Akari, this is a bit dangerous, sir. Solar Guardian, not going to help. Jabs has got him. Meanwhile, Arbit to jump in with the BKB out. Quay dropping low. They'll try to gaze up Jabs, but it won't matter. Jabs will find another as Young God trying to deal with the MK, but can't do it. Midrax is down. Palos doesn't even want to bother with the top. He's going straight for tier 4s.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a dominant lead here. Groomify really don't have much leeway to play their game at the moment. And it's really not much to stop it. Your Lifestealer is really not achieving much. He's had a slower game in the Pango than I think they'd want, although he does have that Ags and Diffusal timing. It just doesn't feel like there's damage to fall through from it. Or a little bit of a reset, as you can get done with a Pugna, of course. Just get your mana topped up, your HP topped up, and they smoke in the back. One last shove. That's all it will take here, it feels like, for Groomify to tap out.
Akari, sir, we've talked about this. He's running, or he's trying to hit Jabs at the very least. Jabs will be alright. Aurora, they have Serpent Wards up again if they want to go. Palos has actually retreated though, but he does go back for a Satanic. So, I mean, if Palos just wants to end the game, he probably could just do that right now.
I think he could. Being a little bit measured. The rest of his team is more objective-oriented, so they're sticking together. Again, very low committal push if they do decide to commit. Maybe gunning for that next Roshan first, 40 seconds away. The scan is out a little bit early from the Dar end, considering maybe expecting Palos to go for it solo. Again, just one last poke. They can find an angle in with a smoke. Could be the beginning or just straight up the end for Groomify if they're not careful. They've got the Infest on key, but it really doesn't feel like this Radiance Infest is doing much, if at all, in this game.
It really isn't. It really is not. Tier 3 tower is down. Final lane of barracks. It's going to be like the perfect initiation, and even then I just can't see it. Rolling Thunder is going to be channeled. He's going for the back, trying to find Ollie once again on the Pugna. They are going to catch him. Ollie, still going to be hexed up here by Q. Will be safe for now, but eventually will fall. Palos in the meantime, moving in as Playhard does die. Now Arbet, he's got Q in the Wukong's command. Kui will be alright. Akari in the meantime trying to TP out, gets hexed up by Q. And Akari, he'll go for a run, but it's not really going to matter. He's down. And it might just be time to call it, boys. I mean, it's definitely time to call it. There's no buybacks left.
Nope.
Ultra kill. Now for Jabs, do we want to buy back on this line? Do we want to give a rampage over? Play hard? Oh, play hard, don't be like that.
Come on.
Oh, play hard.
Ah.
That was disappointing, play hard. That was very disappointing.
They tap out after. Not the way. I mean, look, it's 25-3. There's really no angles back for Groomify. Their draft had some interesting ideas. I just don't know why the Lifestealer gets picked up into the Timbersaw. I think theoretically, again, in lane, it's kind of fine. You know how everyone has just the one agent watching everything you do? I'm sure my guy's like, Jesus Christ, what's wrong? Like, oh God, I can't watch this. I can't. Oh,
question marks
already
being
the all
before.
chat. Yeah, Paula says, why the roll switch? Off gyro mode Tino. Is it actually? No, we're not getting something that spicy.
It's cheeky. He's baiting them a little bit here, John. Trying to convince them otherwise.
Palos
There's no penalties for lying. Yeah.
He's asking if they're having fun with him. You know, are you tripping with us? You messing around with us? Just Motino, says Akari. All right.
That's nice.
See if this shake-up is enough.
What's the excuse for this pause? Oh, never mind. We're good.
Nothing. There's just no excuse. It's
Nothing.
just go sorry. Just sorry.
Interesting.
You know, if I held a tournament, the players would be forced to play with keyboards without the F9 key. Straight up. No pauses. Door? Well, what does that matter, Lucify?
You know, that's like a Shopee delivery or some sort of deliveries coming in, you know? The order is in for Key. That's a fast pickup, all right? Yeah, maybe not the door. A little bit too quick. I don't believe that one.
Yeah. That one did not make too much sense, no.
Could have been the door falling over, the door failing to close, the door not locking.
The door just collapses. Oh, here we go. Jonathan, they've smoked up as 4. Still dots coming out from Palos. He's not too happy. I don't know what Akari said there, John. He said Melanwara.
Saying red-white. He's asking if there is or there's none. Red or white. I have no clue what they're... I think it's a game? I don't know. Ari loves to chat.
He sure does. A wrap around here from Groomify. We saw this earlier, but it didn't really pan out. This time they could run into Palos, but I don't know if they'd actually have enough damage. Palos will actually just run into them. Takes a few hits. Here comes some... Oh, and there's a skill play. Akari's got it. That's a win in my books, Jonathan. Obviously, he has TP, but it's all about the mental win. And that's what he's got. It's cute. Earth spikes up. Play hard might actually die for this.
Oh.
TP. He's alright. But he TP'd to the tier 1 tower, so this is going to be a bit of an awkward start for poor old Play Hard.
Not going to feel like the best. At least wasting the TP of Palos could lead into some shenanigans down the line. We'll see if that's going to affect anything. Shouldn't really. Taking a gander at that mid, you've got Kui on the Earth Spirit up against Abed on that puck. This matchup shouldn't be too rough for Abed, but it's a pretty fine matchup for Key anyhow. He's got the kick. You can just keep farming up. He's got really good right click if he does close out onto Abed. Decent enough armor to try and trade, although not the highest in the world. Oh, they do find a Phoenix.
Okay. Didn't quite catch how that happened. Ollie does get caught though. I imagine it was just a disruption with some right clicks from Akari and a skewer back, and it turns out it does prove to be enough. So first blood already the way of the Magnus, and that's a lovely start here for the side of Groomify.
A much better start than we were seeing in game 1. Of course, they also got first blood by killing off the Q last time around, but this sets a better tone. Up top, no trades coming in. Just free EXP coming out for Play Hard and Akari. That TP back onto the tier 1 paying off now for Shadow Beam. Still having a gander elsewhere. Of course, you've got Jabs Q laning up against Young God along with Lucify. And this is a very straightforward lane for Young God. You've got good reach to constantly poke out at Jabs. There is some opportunities here for Q if he lands an Earth Spike into a good rundown of the Infernal Blade Scorched Earth, but the counterplay from Young God is fairly high. Lucify does hit that level 2 spike, so he's got the level 2 Ignite. Not a lot of damage to come into that one, and that is enough to give good spacing out for Young God. Kill threat is high if you overcommit. So again, Rocket Barrage is there. You've got the Afterburner for Young God. The chase down isn't too complicated. And that does mean maybe a more passive lane for Aurora down bot. That does leave some room for Q down the line to rotate, as a line would want to, but it depends on if he can actually soak up that EXP to feel comfy in making that move onto mid to help Abed at the 5-minute mark.
We'll see if he does. But for now, smooth sailing for both sides. Groomify 1 kill ahead. In fact, they get a skill back play onto Palos now. Palos gonna open wounds up and go after Akari for a little bit. Play Hard was not around, so maybe had you had the Shadow Demon, you might have been able to hope for something, but he does have level 1 rage anyway, so chances are you probably couldn't get much. They're gonna try though. Disruption out, Shadow Poison, but there's your rage committed here by Palos, and he's gonna be okay for now, though Akari still circling, but will not really be able to hope to commit. Play Hard, however, still spamming up the Shadow Poisons, does get 4 stacks. We'll get a 5th one, but it's not enough. Skewer play is not going to land either from Akari. So Palos really playing on the edge with his life there, but understands that he was going to be fine no matter what.
A little bit risky, but just going for the burst on the life steal can be a tough call. Level 3 is up. Palos is still playing relatively close to the lane, but they don't have the mana to continue that harassment.
He's still life stealing up quite nicely with the open wounds, but does have to be very, very cautious. Playhard does have another healing Lotus as well, so he definitely can acquire the mana if necessary to keep this harassment up. In fact, Palos dropping low again will turn back around onto Playhard, just trying to lifesteal a little bit before he does walk back the other way. Yeah, certainly a bit of a difficult start here to the top lane for Aurora. Which again, kind of goes back to the fact that you're playing lifestealer. Like, it's not really the greatest laning hero anymore. It used to be pretty good, but not so much anymore.
Certainly not. We're gonna have to slowly try to build up for Palos. I'm very curious about his build again, if he's opting for Armlet and breaking that Radiance Rush. He's dropping low still.
He does. Palos actually goes down this time around, and Akari immediately hands over the tip and the tongue, which I know means dumb now. Thank you, John.
Yeah. Very nice. Kari. No, Karma bites back. Good old Ask the Karma. Yeah. measure your words just a little bit, especially as you're on Magnus. Good old Rise, but know a thing or two about measuring words there. But a good start for Groomify nonetheless, right? 2-0. They've got a great lane start on Young God and on Key, and you're getting that pop-off for Akari. So things are looking good early on. The side of Aurora wants into maybe a slower go. Slower than they'd want to. Right? Like, Abed's not able to pressure onto Key as much. It's been free farm for the Earth Spirit. 5 minutes in, your rotations for Aurora. I mean, Phoenix probably not the best, but certainly looking at Q, if he can leave jabs, it's just they've not been able to really get as much in terms of pullbacks and farm here for jabs. So he's still stuck at level 3. You are at 3 as well for Q, and he is blocking that skill point. He'll try to make a move now. No wards to watch this line movement out, so could be some sort of opportunity, but you don't really have the healthiest mana on Abed either to look for a straightforward kill.
I mean, they've got to at least wait for Kui to hit level 6, and he will do so after this creep. So now you could really hope for an attempt. I mean, assuming Kui has some help coming. Q's not going to find an opening onto the Earth Spirit, so Kui's going to be okay. Abed's just interested in the power rune anyway at the 6-minute mark, which is coming up in 5 seconds. Kui's going to try and steal with Lucify. They'll hope to get lucky down at bottom. Ollie's going to guard the top, and it is going to spawn bottom. So Kui does find himself an illusion rune. Not the most important rune, but more importantly, you're just denying it away from the puck, which is what really needs to happen.
You're doing a great job of just stalling this tempo on mid. And last time around, we saw Abed run away with the lane. This time, I mean, he's caught up in CS. Still up there in net worth, but certainly doesn't have as many opportunities to rotate just yet. A little bit slower in the side lanes for Aurora, which is a big boon to Groomify. Akari is starting to find his groove. Already has the power treads up, has the bracer null for a little bit more mana and strength. And they are still applying that pressure onto Palos. Mind you, Palos has been trying to mitigate some of that pressure, but this lifestealer is off to about as good as the start as we saw in the last game. Bottom net worth once again. Going to be a long process to recovery, and Palos is not breaking the mold. He's just going back to the Radiance.
Meanwhile, though, Young God is being chased by, or rather, Young God is chasing Q down. Q is trying desperately to get back towards his base. Eventually, he'll get there, but it won't matter. Young God does secure the kill. They'll take the Wisdom Rune on Abed, though, so they miss out on the Wisdom. But they do get a nice cheeky kill. Problem is, you do have to chase quite far to get that. Like, that's probably a whole creep wave you just missed. Maybe even 2.
Does stall out your flash farm and the gyro just a bit, but I don't feel like it's hurting him too much on the side of Groomify, right? Like, it's just forcing Aurora further back, further away, slowing down this tempo that you want to come out from jabs. You're feeding off of these kills for the Gyrocopter quite nicely. Falcon Blade set to come out soon. Then it's a matter of the Chrysalis and Ags build up. You tend to see they get some good D wards as well up top. Lucify taking care of the Obs watching, or yeah, the Obs watching up here. He's clearing out their own ward just in case. And they're starting to make moves onto, again, Palos. Just pressuring this life healer. Good read from Palos to just back off instantly. So, not going to be held into the gank, but there's just no movement from Aurora. And their draft with Lifestealer and Doom is a little bit slower if your puck isn't set to launch off just yet. Abed does have a nice amp damage rune. He'll try for a smoke play up top for this tier 1.
A little bit low on mana, but he does have enough for the Dream Coil, and going for the bottle refills. They're going to run into Play Hard. Disruption will be out from Play Hard onto the line. Dream Coil committed onto 2. Here comes the Cavalry, and they've got the Doom out onto Young God. That's 2 down already. Here comes the Earth Spirit, but it won't matter if Quee doesn't have some help around him, and he certainly doesn't. Akari was trying to move in, but it's all too late. 4 down, triple kill for Abed. The only survivor being Akari, who managed to run away. And it's a bit unfortunate for Akari, John. He had Skewer on cooldown, so he couldn't break the gap quick enough to try and RP.
Just not finding that timing. And again, a great movement out from Aurora. We were talking about them lacking a little bit of movement out. They find the right rune. Managed to get some big set of kills because this game was kind of a little bit too slow for them. They get some good activity from Paulus. He gets a good infest to save. And Groomify have to watch himself. If they start bleeding out these kinds of kills, then the game can easily tip right back to Aurora. This is also buying so much free space for jabs. All of that attention up top means your Doom's free farming down bot. He can just devour, clear out the creep waves, play in the camps, and slowly build himself back into this game as well. So, find everything you could ask for on Aurora. Your tier 1 is still set to fall at 133 though. Just one quick shove from Groomify can start to open up that top lane by a massive amount.
Coil out again, top lane. They've got the mag another time. RP, pump faked, does not get it off. Silence was there from Abed, and that's going to be a death for Akari. He may have gotten away last time, but not quite this time around. As Abed's starting to become a bit of a problem here, John. Top net worth on the puck, and already is he just dominating across the map.
And we talked about this puck game for Abed being really good. They just lack that hard control. It's very hard to lock him in with the supports you have. Maybe you could try to set up into Disruption and roll. It's probably your best bet. Or just trying to clip him with Fire Blast seems like a very tall order. Trying to clip him with RP without the blink is also a very tall order. And it's free pickings for Abed. I love that he skipped his power treads as well. Just straight for the Witchblade. Straight for some damage and sustain. And it's been doing a lot of work. Like, he gets away with 2 kills, a lot of kills actually up top for his effort, and they still buy the space around the map. Alos inching towards the Sacred Relic now for the Radiants. Again, just a free game for Jabs, although he is under pressure now.
Certainly is, Jabs. A lot of danger, a lot of heroes incoming, and Jabs will go down. So a nice trade across the map. Groomify able to find something for their trouble, and Jabs, his net worth's quite low at the moment. So, I mean, kind of just holding him back here on the Doom, always going to feel quite nice. Does it bother Aurora? I don't know yet. Because Abed's top lane again. It looks like he wants to hunt down Akari another time.
Yeah. Also managed to get forward vision onto the stacks. Looks like Abed's just going to slowly try to poke at it. Not quite enough damage to really fully clear out. Can eventually do so once Ollie managed to swing around with some magic damage on his own. And that's going to be a lot of gold sapped away from the side of Groomify. They'd want to clear that out with Akari. They'd want to clear that out with Young God. If Abed finds this and catapults his game, it's going to be a little bit of a problem. Yeah, they're just set to do so. No wards, no vision, no read from the side of Groomify that the stacks are slowly being chipped away at.
That's concerning.
They do manage to find a tier 1 bot, but in exchange for all these ancient stacks, probably not the most worthwhile thing in the world to trade away.
No, certainly not. Again, Abed going to be very happy as Palos just casually takes the tier 1 top tower on his own. Siege creep proving to be more than enough to get that done. Of course, Q is in the tree line just waiting for somebody to rock up. Does have the finger available, so plenty of damage on hand from Q. Thankfully, Akari does back off, but now Akari realizes all the stacks have been taken. So, pretty bad news here for the boys. Not exactly what you'd want to see when you walk back into that triangle. And well, again, I think, you know, the one saving grace is your Gyrocopter still having a very good time. The problem is Palos is pretty much on parity when it comes to the farm game. He's just about 250 gold behind.
Which is a very different story from what we saw from Akari last time, where his Lifestealer was about 1,000 gold behind at this point, maybe 500 to 1,000 at 12 minutes in, and that's just set to widen. And the fact that Palos is keeping up, he's going to have this Radiance timing a lot quicker than Akari did, means that there is some presence from the Lifestealer early on here. And the only hero being really hurt right now is Jabs. He's had a rough lane. He's still going through recovery, but he does have Devil's Bargain. Sell off the drums for something bigger down the line once the charger starts to sap away. And a little bit of a slower tempo here for Aurora does equate to a lot, right? Like your puck starts to hit some big strides as soon as this blink is up on Abed. A very slippery hero just gets even harder to pin down once that's up. The side of Groomify does have their own blink up on Akari. So the blink RP is there, even just the blink skewer back can be quite massive here. Get your blade mail timing now on key. The front line output of the Earth Spirit also is slowly hitting that point where it can do a little bit more, but I feel like it's down to Groomify to actually commit. They are moving around with a smoke now, with Akari. See if they can get a good blink reveal off. They're not making their way up top to Palos, who just forces the TP away from Lucify. They're not going for that tier 1 tower, which is very close to dying. Maybe trying to get a bigger kill onto someone like Abed, but man, this puck is a little bit slippery.
It's not going to be a very easy target if you're trying for the puck at the moment. Blink is up on Akari though, so that you do have some initiation, but again, it's still going to be quite challenging to try for the puck. So they are going to move up top, see if they can find Palos. I mean, Palos isn't necessarily the easiest kill either, because you can always infest and run. But I dare say he's probably a little bit easier to kill than the puck right now, but well, sadly for Groomify, they're going to find nothing. Just end up backing off, not seeing the opening. And that's a bit of a shame.
And they spent so much time in that smoke, there was just enough time to scan out an Aurora. They see that movement into that top jungle. Played a little bit safe on Palos. Still having that free ride into the Radiance. Still hanging fairly far forward, all things considered, but not really going for the commitment yet. Akari's pretty far back. Maybe hoping for something bigger from Key.
Here we go. They moved in. RP committed, but he got the rage off in time, so there's not much damage you can get off right now as Q's going to join in, and so will Abed. They've brought the whole team over. This is not the fight Groomify agreed to. This is not what they originally wanted. This is really bad as Lucify is going to get fingered down. The Earth Spirit probably not making his way out of this one. They'll even find Play Hard on top, so 3 for nothing. And Palos, props to him, John, that rage coming in clutch. I mean, sure, you get the RP off, but once the rage was popped, there was no follow-up damage.
They really need a follow-through there from the Earth Spirit, from Key. A kick back into a much more forward position where you could start to apply that damage on Young God. They just couldn't get that spacing. Off the back of that, you get that full Radiance now for Palos. They did have to pop all of their own big ultimates, but they do still have Infest, which does allow this Life Stealer to still play forward with not much of care. And Aurora build themselves up a 2k off of that botched fight from Groomify. For Groomify, they're going to be waiting a little bit more until RP's back up. Don't manage to steal as well in Kari, so a nice Arcane Rune for Abed. Keep playing poke here. And they still send Jabs back bot, rushing into the BKB. Only really one part away now, just lacking the recipe gold. And once that's up, Doom's going to be feeling a lot safer to join his team. In this case for Groomify, it feels like all the pressure's there on Akarius. He does manage to get a skewer back.
He does. They've got Q, but Sunray's actually keeping Q decently alive, but here comes Young God. Young God will get the job done. Keep in mind, this is all for a line. You know, it's kind of concerning how long it took them to deal with that line, but they'll get it done eventually. Can they take down this mid-tier 1 tower? Abed's going to be around to try and slowly defend, but it seems as though Groomify, they're going to try and commit for this. Here come the TPs. Palos is going to join in. He's got the Radiance up now. Dreamcore committed from Abed, catching out 2 targets. Young God needs to get the hell out of there, and so will the rest. His Jabs will also join, but it's all too late. Everyone has successfully escaped.
That doesn't really cost Aurora much. It's the Arcane Rune pop for Abed, so the cooldown on Dreamcoil is just so damn low. Doesn't really care. They know they can just afford to sit back, kind of reset just slightly. Young God's not in a very healthy position to rejoin anytime soon. And they're going to have Doom off cooldown for Jabs at least in relatively short order, so they can't afford to keep going. They've got that blink up on Q, and he is actually infested up. Just need an angle in.
Well, they're going to find Lucify. Finger will be committed, of course. Q will happily take the stack for himself. And that'll be your mid-tier 1 tower now for the Radiant, probably going down, sadly enough, for Groomify. Well, they are going to glyph up, but I question how much of a difference that's going to make, as nobody's around to defend this. It seems like they're going to get away with this quite easily. And keep in mind, Palos, he got a much earlier timing on the Radiance than we saw last game for Akari. So Palos, chances are his farm is set to escalate. And I also appreciate that he is going for SNY rather than rushing an Aghanim Scepter. Can I just say?
Yeah. Again, like this whole idea of disarming Young God is nice. It's just, there's no output. Really no output to speak of. You're not at that point where Abed can just right-click away as well. So just having his own presence is going to be nice and big for him to kind of ride through. I think the big timing for Groomify, though, is going to be this Orchid timing on Akari. That's when things start to get a little bit interesting. And it's rather interesting Young God also did not opt for Ags on Gyrocopter, right? He went SNY into the Dragonlance, which he disassembled for the SNY. It's a little bit different than what we've seen. It also impacts his farming pace just a tad bit. He's still ahead. But with that Ag, you'd normally tend to be a little bit more ahead with how fast you farm up. See if Groomify starts to play off of this. As they are smoked up. They do have that RP ready. They've got the Magnetize ready as well, and they find themselves a nice tier 1, but they need more. This is going to be a big reveal on the Orchid of Akari. If they get the jump on Abed, could be a nice kill.
Could be. Smoke is there. Abed gets the phase shift. Skewer's not going to land either. And now they want to turn around. Abed, he gets a nice dream call. He's found a few targets. Akari's immediately bursted down. And Lucify, sadly, is also going to be joining his buddy. And Aurora, they are just reacting way too quickly. Is Ollie now already up with a Yule Scepter? Gonna find a third. Every single attempt Groomify try for, it just ends up falling flat. It's really upsetting to see.
It's just difficult. They had a good defensive ward on Aurora, right where the smoke breaks, so there's enough time for Abed to just respond back, just dodge away. And outside of Groomify, I mean, they needed that Orchid reveal to be big. They did manage to get use out of it from Akari, but doesn't really pin anyone down. And I think, again, going for this tempo build on Young God with SNY and Chrysalis over Eggs, it could be the one thing that causes them. Because again, your lead on Young God is not that big. It's 1k up. It's starting to get closed up here by Palos and Abed. Even Jabs, who again had a bit of a slower lane. He could divert back for the Ags, of course, but right now, Young God's actually queuing up the BKB. Opting for a very fight-oriented gyro, but fight angles aren't that clear.
They'll get the Orchid onto the... oh, what? No. I mean, Palos has completely baited him, but it's a pretty rough, as now Palos going to go for the man fight against 5 heroes. He just doesn't care. Gets the Infest. See you later, boys. Thanks for all the used spells. I mean, it kind of...
that is...
it kind of goes to show you how bad the game's gone. I think Akari understands he needs to get any kind of RP he can right now, but yeah, not like that.
Yeah, it's pretty ugly right now for the side of Groomify. 6-12, 5k lead for Aurora. To be fair, it's not doom and gloom in terms of the net worth advantage. Still, this could be doom and gloom.
Yeah, this is pretty bad. Quee will go down, and sadly, Jonathan, they have got another one of Groomify's members as Playhard will also go down. And obviously by sadly, I mean sadly for Groomify. Aurora are very happy.
Oh yeah, they're just sailing through this game now. After seeing that whiffed RP, I'm sure Palos is having quite the laugh himself. I'm sure they're all kind of just giggling off of the expense of Groomify. A bit of a stressful time for Groomify. The one thing they do have is into high ground, there's always skewer back plays. You've got the Gyrocopter who can become a massive turret once the farm is up. Who again is sitting away from the Ags. Bit of a Tormentor take from the side of Aurora. Nice and quick for them to find with the sustained jabs that Ollie's providing in here from the back. Can get themselves a nice freebie here for Ollie as well. So additional healing coming out onto our Phoenix. And one thing to note as well, Ollie did go for Hotspot, which we don't normally see nowadays. I think maybe last year it was kind of Cuckoo playing a lot of the Hotspot Phoenix when he was on Cuckoo/TNC. Then we saw them all going for Dying Light. It is nice to see the Hotspot. I feel like this is still a really good facet in the right game, and with how Ollie's been spacing himself, it's been feeling amazing with all of that healing coming in. Like it almost feels impossible for Groomify to even consider a burst play as long as this Phoenix is in the backline. Again, your backline jump from Groomify, it isn't too bad, but it feels like you have to throw out P and Akari on the same target to just find that burst at the moment, which leaves a lot of room for Ollie to just play.
I mean, Ollie has been making it look pretty impossible to actually get these kills, that's for sure. Ollie has gone for the 4 blood grenades again, by the way, John, which, I like it. I really like it. I think it's great. Even just the plus 200 HP, right? Like, is that not worth?
It is. Oh. Ooh. It's a little bit off in the timing for the Infernal Blade, sadly, but it's just such free real estate for Ollie. It's so cheap for 200 HP as well. And that little bit of DOT. Just, a lot of utility. I hope it doesn't get nerfed. I'm a big blood grenade enjoyer. Let's start to go into the Roshan here. Nice and maybe not the quickest, but nice and steady for the side of Aurora's Groomify. Same issues as last game. No vision in this area. They do have a forward board by where the tier 1 was, but nothing to really watch Roshan. And even if they did, outside of a big RP, I don't know if you can follow through cleanly. So Roche will just go down for free. We'll have a secondary life probably for Palos here. Some pings coming out onto Abed while he's solo, but I don't know if you can even find that kill.
It looks rather challenging. Abed will get away. Playhard's going to miss out on disruption as well. And while all this is happening, of course, Roshan is still going down. So it's a bit awkward for Groomify because they could think about taking the Roshan fight with their draft, but they don't seem to know what's happening. So now Palos with the Aegis up.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
SNY completed. I suppose at this stage he could consider going for the Ags if he really felt like he needs it. I don't think he does.
Dire's middle tower.
I think he could literally build anything right now and it would probably work. Here we go. Palos.
Radiant's bottom tower.
They're not going to bother with the lifestealer. They have no faith in being able to take him out at the moment. Not twice.
No. Certainly so. Just such a hard target to go for. Unless you can, again, kind of get a good isolation play going, but easier said than done. Free reign for Aurora to just kind of siege in. They've got some good wards to protect this kind of siege as well. The sneaky cliff ward coming up, which is within sentry vision, but not a very easy one to spot in that sentry anyhow. And a nice ward watching right by the camps down bot as well. So very well protected to just keep playing this area. Groomify finding what farm they can. Are slowly approaching a full Daedalus timing for Young God as his BKB flies in. We do have some protection for the Gyro. Eventually damage starts to come in as well. Doesn't quite have as much stats as he would have with his own Ags, but him just going for this more fighting build can start to pay off as the high ground starts to open up. Mind you, again, you don't have that saving grace with, say, a Satanic Sustain with the Ags until that Ags is up. It's just not quite that be-all and all Gyro. 6-14, 9k lead for Aurora. Abed now working into his own Octarine as well. His uptime in just spamming out his spells is going to be that much higher, and it's just so much harder to catch him. Almost feels like you'd want the Sight of Vice or something here, but you don't have the gold to really opt for that yet. They are clumped up looking for a fight. Full BKB up on Akari flying out as well. Double BKB timing or triple BKB timing online. You could try, but it's just this Aegis makes things complicated.
They're going to try. RP out. They've caught him this time. In fact, they caught 2 of them. Can they burst down Abed? He gets the Yules in time. He does not get the phase shift, though. That's a great setup here from Akari. Ollie even dropping himself, but looks like he is still okay. But that's what you love to see. Sure, it was a pretty hard RP to land here for Akari, but it makes all the difference.
And they managed to utilize their ward well. This is a ward that they've planted some time ago, half duration left, about 6 minutes ago, 3 minutes ago, and they managed to play off of it. That's exactly what they need. That's what was missing in the last game as well. Still, we're looking for some punishment here.
They sure are. Mid lane, play hard. Not the biggest kill in the world, but they'll take it. Palos with a full BKB available now on the lifestealer, so he's become incredibly hard to kill. I mean, mind you, he is still behind this gyrocopter. Like, Young God's still having a great old time in terms of the farm department. Almost at that Daedalus timing. It's just, yeah, I question whether it's going to be enough here against Palos, who's still keeping up in terms of farm parity very, very well. Which shouldn't be happening, but it is. Meanwhile, Kui actually finding Abed.
What did you expect?
That's another big one.
That's a big one. I mean, they last time off the back of the RP, this time not even necessary. Abed getting punished hard, and that does swing the gold back a severe amount. Palos by himself on mid, starting to drop a little bit low on the shove as well. And this is keeping Groomify in the game. If they can keep finding punishment like that, This could complicate things for Aurora. 4K lead still nice at 28 minutes, not massive by any means. Palos just running up here.
They force the BKB up. Keep in mind though, you've got plenty of damage here with Young God, just with the right clicks alone, and he has to actually go for the Infest play to get the hell out of there with Q. I mean, sure, this lifesteal is huge, but you've still got to be a little bit concerned about Young God. You can't underestimate the right click of this gyrocopter. Not yet.
Maybe so. Side of Aurora just bleeding back quite a fair bit more than they'd want. Again, there is still some good play potential. The Octarine for Abed still not too far off, but there's that Daedalus timing we've been talking about with Young God. He is still going back into Satanic with no Ags yet, but we're starting to see the output of this gyro. And they are starting to apply some map pressure. They're starting to cross the river a little bit more on the side of Groomify. Although,
jump in. Palos, Dream Coil, gonna catch two of them. That'll be Lucify gone. Abed still having a gander, seeing if he can find Young God, but does not get so lucky. Keep in mind, I mean, 10 seconds off from the Aegis, they're not going to be able to get too much done with it. So with that, I think Aurora, they're actually in a position now where they've got to kind of maybe sit back a little bit. But I say that, they are grouped up top, and it looks like they might start pressuring the Young God. I mean, there was a blink up on Q, but he's not going to make the jump in, just in case, because Young God was right by the T2 tower. Plenty of TP rotations could come in at any time.
a little bit surprised by the lack of vision from Aurora. They've got some cheeky wards protecting their top. One forward ward down bot. Nothing watching like the triangle area. They are going to try for a smoke out. They've got that Doom ready. Just need a target here from Jabs.
Purge is out, but Jabs has jumped in. Playhard, of course, being targeted first as he does go down. Jabs does pop the BKB a little bit on the earlier end, but it doesn't really seem to matter so much. They'll still find a nice, easy Playhard kill, and Groomify, they don't really want the fight. Not at the moment, anyway. I think that they're just more than happy to continue buying time for Young God to get the Satanic up before you really get going.
Just stall out for that win condition to get bigger. There's no pressure to play too fast. I'd say, like you mentioned here, Mikey, Aurora might be the ones under some pressure, because it comes back to that point of Gyrocopter versus Lifestealer. Right? Yes, you're keeping farm parity to an extent here on Palos. It's keeping him up actually quite nicely, all things considered, but how do you start gap closing onto Young God? Especially when his BKB's going to pop on. It's still a fresh BKB as well. Still at 9 seconds despite farming it up earlier. You have a lot of things you have to figure out here on the side of Aurora. You do have at least have the full basher up in Palos, so it could help in pinning someone down, but Abed is being targeted once again with a smoke. They managed to get on top of him again. Could spell trouble for Aurora in some follow-up fights. Even with that full Octarine up, does look like Groomify will just take things slow. Again, they don't want to throw away the swing back either. Roshan could be the next big objective we wait for instead. A minute until that respawn timer is back up. On the side of Aurora, they've got the gem at least to help start to deward. And the map vision is starting to get pretty dark on both sides. So you don't really have the forward information for either side to make these big plays. But Aurora seem to be set to at least start staking their claim down bot. It's going to be more than likely a daytime rush. Groomify will back-to-back smoke through the gate. This could be interesting.
See if they can make this one work. They really want the fight. Kui will roll back towards his team. Aurora seems to be pretty well aware that something's a little bit wrong here. Be very, very patient to move on to that creep wave. Just letting Abed take care of it, and it seems like Groomify actually going to back off. They'll go through the twin gates once again. Lucifer will reveal himself. Can they at least catch him? Yes, they can. Sticks around to throw a quick ignite out, and it does cost his life. Palos? Oh, yeah, they still want the fight. They're going right through the twin gates again. By the T2 tower as well. They're trying to find out where Groomify have gone. And for now, though, Groomify looking pretty safe. Palos will eventually run into Kui, but everyone's out. Groomify, they're okay.
They are. A little bit of a longer roach respawn as well. 2 minutes left till that thing is back up, and it's not going to spend too much time down bot. Side of Aurora are still not willing to let that objective go. So again, going through the gate. Need some bigger pickoffs to really feel comfy in finding anything else on a map. Top tier 2 could be a pain for them as well to have to contend with. And we're hitting big strides still for the side of Groomify. Young God going straight for the MKB. Gonna have a way of piercing through, at very least, all of the evasion coming out from that Radiance on Palos. Much more consistent damage for a Gyro once that is up. Still waiting for the full Shivas that he has been queuing up for some time. And you will inch yourself into that Kaya Yasha for Akari on the faster cast point at least. So game somewhat simplifies for Magnus in terms of trying to lock in that puck of Abed. So we'll see. It's starting to boil into a game of execution. And so far, Groomify have been executing well. Aura's been presenting a couple of holes. It's led to this game stalling out a fair bit. And it's led to, again, a little bit of a swing back. Not in a massive sense, for sure. But some opportunities for Groomify to prolong the game and build up their resources. Still a minute away from Roshan. This cheeky ward from Groomify is still keeping some good vision onto Aurora. Right, like every time they dip down the ramp and take a gander, Sentry's right outside of range of it. So they know Palos is hanging around the cliff. They know that they're somewhat setting up for Roche, that it's going to be the next big objective. And it leads to this clump up for Groomify. Might be able to get something done. I don't believe they have any smokes left, as they did back-to-back smoke a while ago. There is one on Play Hard. They still have an opportunity to sneak in.
You do have an MKB now on Young God, but he spent all his gold for that. No buyback available here for the Gyrocopter, but at least he won't have that evasion issue with the lifestealer now. Abed's got a full Parasma up, so plenty of damage now available on the puck as they are moving towards the pit, but Palos is casually waiting. Akari gonna jump in, but Rage was immediate as Akari now gonna pop the RP, trying to go after the lifestealer. They'll jump in with the Doom out. Palos still completely alive for now, goes for the Infest, and he has made it out. He gets into jabs. Young God at least finding Ollie in the meantime. Is Young God forced to run away? Very low on HP. Still can...
Whoa.
Oh no.
Whoa.
Gets fingered by Q. Akari trying to fight. Will find jabs, but it is at the cost of his own life. And of course Palos now can get right to work, taking down Lucify. Looking for Play Hard on top. They should have him. And he just TP'd as well, so Play Hard's got nothing. 4 for the price of 1. At first, John, when I saw that turnaround from Young God, I thought to myself, okay, he's going to pop Satanic. Then I realized he hasn't bought it yet. He bought MKB instead.
Yes. And that was such a great little Earth Spike finger out from Q. The heads-upness again, there were response time of Aurora. The instant rage out from Palos. All of these tiny things piling up to show you that difference in... honestly, at this point, almost like the caliber of team, the caliber of players. The synchronization of Aurora, just having Palos on hand for a couple of events at this point, it's really making a big difference. They're trying to cut through here with Key, but he's caught out.
He does. Dreamcoil is there. Qui's still trying to run, but the Yules will be out, and that'll be all she wrote for Qui. Of course, in the meantime, bottom lane is still being just forced in by Palos, who does take the tier 3 tower. Helps a lot when they've got double siege creeps available too. And here comes jabs. I mean, Palos basically uncontested until Young God's here. Akari does get a nice skill back with the Orchid out as well. Looks like Palos might actually be in danger, but gets the BKB off and has the Infest available. So gets the hell out of there, though you do lose Ollie. Flak Cannon proving to be a little bit too much. It's now jabs looking to turn around as a nice Earth Spike. A Ravage from Q. Onto the Gyro. Young God's down again. Q is just absolutely destroying Young God in this game too. Akari just doomed up. I think they just want to buy the time to get these racks. And I mean, there's still no buyback for this Gyrocopter anyway, so it's... You've got plenty of time. In fact, I think you've got enough time for Megas.
More than enough time here. No threat whatsoever for some time. Still have the Blink RP at the least, but they need that follow-through from Young God. And Q is just... Q is going ham. I mean, we always talk about it. Probably the best pause for in C. They've got to hold out somehow on Groomify. They want to have some hope. They'll pop their last Fortify. But Aurora, they're not scared. They've got the full AC up on Palos. He's got Infest back up again. They will play it cautiously on Aurora. They show a lot of respect for more heroes being up. They show a lot of respect for that skewer back, but... Jabs?
Jabs. Roll is there. They're going to try for the Doom, but nothing's really coming out of this as Queen out. Forced the BKB and just run, but Palos is right on his tail, hoping for some bashes, blocks the roll, And Kui is looking pretty dead as he does go down. Meanwhile, Arbit getting skewered into the fountain. Does he have a way out? No, he does not. A nice skewer back onto Arbit. At least getting a very nice kill into the park. And I believe, did they get a gem out of that?
Yeah. It's just
Very
there.
nice.
Prop on their fountain. Thank you to Akari for that quick delivery. They do manage to get the punishment they want. I mean, it did cost them a buyback on Q. Right? And it did cost one big buyback on their mid-Earth Spirit. But does hold back the side of Aurora. Meanwhile, for Aurora, I mean, to be fair, Roshan is still open for them on that respawn. They can cover their bases there once that is... once Abed is back up. But the side of Groomify could look for a steal. They've got the damage here with Youngot. They're in position for Roche. But so is Aurora. Not hanging too far back. They've got the egg. Doom ready in a few seconds. This could be a very dicey fight for Groomify if it doesn't pan out their way.
Well, Young God, he gets started, but it's a bit of an awkward Roshan to try and start. They do have RP up at least. They're going to have to try and play around that big spell usage here for Akari. I mean, Young God's got all the damage in the world if they can land a big RP, but Aurora are not going to make that easy as Q. Looking to slowly move in. Akari gets an RP off. He found only the Lifestealer. Doom committed as well here from Jabs right onto the Magnus' Lucifer. He's already been fingered down, so he can't really do too much anymore. Palace in the meantime moving on to Kui, but is forced to infest and run with Jabs as now the chase does begin. Kui lands onto the Doom, but it's at the cost of his own life.
No buyback.
No buyback, and oh boy, it looks like another one as well. Akari's down.
Dire are scanning.
Young God literally just TP'd out. He did not want the fight. I mean, Kui rolled in and this Jaro is just like, nope. Young God's just like, I'm out of here.
Too far. There's no way Young God can kind of help that chase down with how far that roll was. And again, it's such a risky play into this Roshan.
Radiant's top
I mean,
tower
yes,
is
it's an
under attack.
opportunity with Abba down, but you didn't have that much long to wait from the respawn. You didn't have buyback on Akari. You forced the buyback on Ki. And now in this tier 2, falls down to Q. Into the high ground they go. Last set of racks left here for Aurora to clear out. And Groomify. This could be the last few seconds of this one.
I mean, Arbit's basically soloing Young God right now. Young God will be saved by the Glimmer Cape usage of Play Hard, but classic puck at the late stage with the Parasma up, but just so much damage. So here we are, tier 3 top tower now under siege. 2 heroes down with no buyback on the side of Groomify. And there's literally no buybacks left apart from Play Hard on the Shadow Demon. So you've got maybe one last team fight in you if you're Groomify here. Otherwise, you are going down to the lower bracket of these SEA close qualifiers. Mega creeps incoming. Arbet is certainly not intending on making this any easier. So he just blinks in and takes out 1/3 of Young God's HP with that overwhelming blink. Disruption out. Can they hope for a skewer back on Palos? I mean, I kind of doubt it. They wasted the blink on Akari anyway. Still trying. Call down is there from Young God. Palos almost baiting them to skewer him in. Arbet's going to jump in now. Right by the fountain they'll go. Young God dropping low. Gets doomed up and he is probably just dead. No healing for you, sir.
Oh.
They'll RP Palos. Palos gets caught. Palos is actually... Is he alive? Oh, he is? He's got the axe. He jumps into Akari. He'll take him out in the fountain. Kui's trying to fight. Palos is just him against the fountain right now. They'll take him down. Meanwhile, the Ancient is still completely exposed, still dropping almost down the siege creeps. Somebody take down the siege creeps.
Oh no.
Oh no,
like
the
this.
siege creeps.
It can't end like this.
Oh,
It ends. What? Oh.
didn't someone just call them dumb as well? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Paulus comes in and